Welcome back, everybody. I'm Jay. He's Maddie. This is Yankee and the Brit Sports Talk. And today we're each going to give you 5 betting lines for this weekend's games. But Maddie, I got to ask you if you saw the Vikings rumors going around, top of their list for coach to replace Mike Zimmer is reportedly Jim Harbaugh.
Great decision. If he wants to leave Michigan, then that'd be he should be at the top of everybody's list, as far as I'm convinced. I saw Joe Clapp. No. Yeah, guy goes on to Colin Cowherd's show. Him talking about Joe Clapp. Yeah, that was him. Talking about it, and he was kind of saying, well, maybe he just feels like he doesn't have as much control in Michigan with the way that players have mobility now and things like that, whereas he totally wants to have control. And in the Vikings organization, you can kind of totally have control, and you're set up with a really good offense to go with, a sturdy QB. Like, you're probably not going to have a shitty season, even if you are a shitty coach, for your first season back in the NFL. So I think it would be a nice, stable spot for him to go to and just have total control.
And I have to digress a little because you were talking about your boy Colin Cowherd. Did you hear what he said about Dak Prescott? He said Dak Prescott is Kirk Cousins with more fans and less haters.
Yeah, I mean, if you see the Cowboys chat rooms, then I'm sure you'll see how many haters Dak Prescott's got at the minute. So I wouldn't worry about it too much. But they're always going to get compared to each other. It's fair enough. But yeah, Jim Harbaugh, great coach for a sturdy organization, I would say. It's rumored that a lot of people want him if he's coming out. So like Jacksonville, but they've hired his arch enemy at GM, so that's not going to work for them. So it's one less person. But I think the only competition, the only perhaps better place to go would be Denver. And that's just because there's lower expectation. But Denver's a harder division. But it also doesn't have Aaron Rodgers in it.
Well, if I was an offensive coach, I'd rather go to Minnesota than Denver, but that's not why we're here. So let's talk some betting lines on the games. And I'll start with my number 5 game of the week for the betting lines. Colts versus Jags. I'm taking the Jags plus 15, even though the Colts are going to win, because that's a huge line. And betting rules always go, if there's a huge spread, take the dog.
Yeah, I like that pick. I was looking at it and thinking, yeah, that makes sense. I'll take it. And then I thought how many times the Jags have let everybody down in the past. So, yeah, and like the Colts are built in a way where they destroy teams like that. Like they'll struggle against the bigger teams, but they should destroy teams like the Texans, the Jags, the Jets, teams like that, because they can just run you off the field. And as long as they're running off the field, because they're trying to get Jonathan Taylor some sort of record. Have they clinched their playoff spot yet? Yeah.
Yeah. Wait.
Yeah, so they're just going to run the ball no matter what's going on, really, as they should. Oh, no, they haven't clinched. There are a couple of ways for them to go out. But they've all but. But they do have something to play for, and I think that'll help them maybe cover the spread. But 15 points is a huge spread. For me, I've took the Tampa Bay Buccaneers against the Carolina Panthers. I've took them at minus 8.5. I just think they'll win by 2 touchdowns. If they go out and play how they should do, and I wouldn't be surprised if with all the turmoil they have, they don't do this. But with the way that the Panthers play, the way that the Bucs defense can play, you're going to struggle to see them score any points. And the Tampa Bay Bucs, even when they're playing shitty, will score 25, 30. So you've got to figure they'll win by at least 9.
That's if they play their starters, though, because they're talking, and this is just talking heads on TV, though. Does it really matter at that point if you slide down one seed if you get to rest guys? But that's just talking heads out there.
Yeah, it really does, because you don't want to come against the Green Bay Packers in Lambeau first up. Like, that's not first up, but you know what I mean? Like, second game. You don't want to play the Packers in Lambeau. So I don't understand that. If I'm the Bucs, the Cowboys, the Cardinals, the Rams, all of those teams, I'm playing my first team and just going for it and just seeing where we end up. Like the Cowboys are in a different position where everybody's getting COVID, and the Cowboys are in a bit of a shitty position because they've now lost the head-to-head against Tampa and the Cardinals. So they're the only team I would consider resting there. But the rest of them, I just go for it because you want to be playing in Lambeau in the NFC Championship game, not any time before that.
I don't know. If I'm the defending champs with all their injuries, I might do it. Plus, if you get Brady hurt in this last game, you look like an asshole. But we'll see what happens in that game. For me, I'm sticking with a game at number 4 that still has playoff implications. And the Steelers are +6. So I'm taking the Steelers versus the Ravens with the +6 because and now Lamar's not playing, which I know there's been these crazy chat room talks now. Should they trade Lamar and keep Huntley and different things like that? But Steelers +6 was a good line for me, and the Steelers still have a chance of making the playoffs. So I figured that's where I'm riding.
Yeah, for me, I've taken the Steelers as well as my number 4.
Really?
My number 4 pick. Yeah, it's just that I've picked them to win the game in our picks earlier this week. So I've picked them to beat the Ravens anyway. You could just see Big Ben balling out. I mean, he's been shit this season. It's not been his year really this year or last year, to be honest. But you could just see him balling out in his last game, or Najee Harris running for well over 100 yards. And that defense against Tyler Huntley, and the fact they can get into the playoffs if they win, and a few other things have to happen for them, right?
Yeah, they need help.
Yeah, they need help. But when they get in, I could just see them winning that game. So the fact that they were +6 blew my mind. So I'm taking the Steelers +6 in that.
What, number 3? I'm going with the Saints Falcons, and I'm taking the Saints -4. Saints win, and if my picks work out the way they do, San Francisco doesn't even make the playoffs.
Which would be very good for every team that's in the playoffs because they're a kind of team. Those running teams are teams you don't want to face in the playoffs. Like that's just where it is. So if you're in the NFC, you're hoping like the 49ers don't get in. You would even say the Eagles are a bit of a worry getting in just because their run game and the Colts. But one of those teams, the 49ers or the and then in the AFC, the Colts as well are a team that you don't really want to face. But in the NFC, either the 49ers or the Eagles are going to get in, and you'd rather play the Eagles than the 49ers. Yeah, I like that pick, to be perfectly honest. I think it's a good pick. Just the way that the Falcons have played this season, so on and off, whereas the Saints have been so like the fact there's nothing really riding on that game for either of them to.
Well, the Saints if the Saints win and the 49ers lose, the Saints are in the playoffs.
Really?
Yeah, that's why I said if my picks go down the way they are, the 49ers are out and the Saints are in.
Oh, wow. Okay. The Saints just feel like they should be so out of it this year.
I know when I was going through this and looking at in the hunt and reading all the stuff this morning to make sure I got for the picks, I was like, really, the Saints are the one team. So the Eagles are locked in. And if the 49ers lose and the Saints win, the Saints are in.
I'm going to blame that blunder on COVID. That's why I'll blame that blunder. I've COVID, everyone. Get vaccinated. It made me feel a lot better. For my number 3 pick, I've got the Jets at +16.
Okay.
The Jets have been in. I feel like I haven't really seen the Jets get blown out that much this year to be a +16 dog against the Bills in a team that can't run either. When they've just taken the defending champs into a game where they should have finished it off and won the game, and they only got beat by the defending champs by +4. And the Bills can't run. So I feel like +16 is a bit of a harsh lead on that. I would put the bet on that tonight. Like that is high on a team that have been in so many close games. Like Robert Saleh's got them playing really hard. That culture is starting to take over. They do have some playmakers and they have a half decent defense that can actually make some plays. And the fact that they took Tampa within 4 points and Tom Brady had to drive them down the field at the end against Tampa. I mean, that suggests that +16 is a bit harsh. If I was the Jets and I saw +16 against the Bills, I would be I'd be fuming. Like I would use that to fuel my play in the next game. If I'm Robert Saleh, I'm showing the Jets the betting line on that one.
Well, no, I agree with you because even let's say that the Bills are up by 21 points at the end of the game, they're whipping their ass. The Saints or the Jets could easily get garbage time points that kill that point spread anyway. That point spread is so high that's crazy because like garbage time points can kill that point spread.
Yeah, it's such a huge point spread, and the Bills are already in the playoffs, so they could just start to rest people whenever they want to, really. So it's just a bit of a they're still going for the divisional title. When New England will be the only thing that I can think that they will make it plus 16 when you see some of these other odds as well.
Well, at number 2, let me ask you a question first. So if you pick the team to win and you were getting points, that's got to be a no-brainer, right? So I'm going to go. So. I'm going to go Chargers versus Raiders, and I'm taking the Raiders plus 3.
Yeah, I didn't have the balls to pick that one. I thought because what is it? What is it for both of them to get into? The Colts. If the Colts lose against the Jags and then both of those two draw, so those guys could just kneel for the entire game and both get into the playoffs if they really wanted to.
Yeah, I heard them talking about that on Pat McAfee today. How fucking funny would that be? Just like a whole game. If you're in,
I would respect it.
You're in.
I'd respect it if it wasn't a divisional game. Like the fact it's a divisional game means that they don't both want to get in. They want to make sure the other one isn't there. Like if it was two teams where you're like, yeah, I don't mind if you're in it either, but because they're your rivals, you're like, nah, fuck you. I don't want you in it either. So they'll go from there. Right. That could be the only thing that would stop me from kneeling. There's been games in World Cups where teams have just gone, well, we both get in with a draw. Should we just play our seconds? Like play the young kids, give them a run out, and we'll just draw this thing 1-1. Like basically, if they both get in.
As boring as it would be, I would watch a game if I knew they were just going to kneel the whole game. I'd have
to. Yeah, it's like in Waterboy where they're trying to keep Buddy off the field and they just start to kneel because they're 30 points up. Just do that kind of thing. For my second pick, I've gone with a bit more of a risk. I'm not sure that I've got these in order of my best pick to my worst
fair
pick.
Enough.
I've just kind of written them down. And I feel like the Jets might be my best pick at plus 16. I've taken the Bengals at plus 6 against the Browns. Now, Joe Burrow isn't playing, but Brandon Allen's had a 376-yard game. Granted, it was against the Houston Texans, and it was last year's Houston Texans as well, where they didn't have any defense whatsoever. But they also had Deshaun Watson in that game. He's also played in a few other games this season, got a few stats. He's got a 77 passer rating for his time in the NFL. So by no means, no bum. Also, even though Jamar Chase and Joe Mixon aren't playing, they do have so many weapons at Cincinnati that you've got to feel like there's going to be somebody to throw to. Also, Baker Mayfield is not playing. However, he is being replaced by Case Keenum, he's kind of like Baker Mayfield with less fans, if we're going to use the Kirk Cousins thing about Dak Prescott. As well now, Case Keenum is.
Well, I didn't think that Collins' comments was fair to Kirk Cousins.
But I wouldn't feel shitty if I was a Browns fan and the Browns just gave up because it's just not been their year. Whereas Cincinnati, you've still got seeding to play for, but I understand resting Joe Burrow after his knock last week. So they've still got shit to play for, Cincinnati, and you feel like with the high that they're on, plus 6 is a lot for the Bengals against the Browns when I feel like the Bengals could win that game. Plus 6, I feel, is a lot.
Well, on to my number one game of the week, where this was my number one because I feel like it's a lock. 49ers versus the Rams. Rams -4. I'm taking the Rams. The Rams are playing for seeding. Plus, you never want your division rival in the playoffs, so they can stick it to the Niners. Well, get their better seeding. And you want that second seed because if the Packers stumble, then you get the NFC Championship game plus the Super Bowl. You could just be at home the whole fucking time if it played out right. So the Rams ball out, and they're going to stick it to the Niners. Looks like Trey Lance is going to start again. I don't know, like, what do you do against that defense if you're Trey Lance? You're a young kid. You're a rookie. You got Aaron Donald. You got Von Miller. You got Ramsey. I don't know, unless Stafford goes all like Carson Wentz, I think it's a lock at -4.
Yeah, I think my only worry with that one is the 49ers run game. But if you're playing against the Rams, they have a notorious player called Aaron Donald who can stop the run by himself. So I always feel weird betting against the 49ers with them this season because you don't know what they're going to get. But with Trey Lance playing, this is the game where you want Jimmy. Like last week, you want Trey Lance. This week, you want Jimmy Garoppolo because he's more experienced and will be able to cope with that defense a little bit more. But yeah, I like that pick. I've gone for, even though I think the team I'm betting against could have a chance of winning, I'm still taking the Packers at -4.5 against the Detroit Lions. Aaron Rodgers seems like he wants to play quite a lot.
I think they're going to play the first quarter or half because Devontae is chasing the Packers single season receiving record. So he could be the greatest Packer receiving season for yardage in a season. I think it's 33 or 66 or something like that. So you're definitely going to have Rodgers and them out there for that. What I don't think you'll see Aaron Jones or A.J. Dillon. But that, I forget, is it Taylor? That kid didn't play too bad when he was in that garbage time the other night either. So, but with Rodgers and him out there, I don't think that the Packers have an issue. Like, how do I want to say it? I think that's a good spread because Rodgers and them are going to play probably the first half. Yeah,
exactly. And if they play the first half, there's nothing that says that they'll go down by, they'll be going into halftime like 20 points up. And then you just say to Jordan Love, don't fuck this. Like, because with Jordan Love out there, they will play football because obviously they'll play football because they want to see what they've got in Jordan Love. And the Detroit Lions will love sticking it to the Packers. Now, I wouldn't be surprised if the Lions win. I picked them to win the other day. But with it seeming more and more like Rodgers is going to play at least that first half, I think -4.5 is... And I would bet on that game now because the more Rodgers... Because it was -3.5 yesterday. So the more Rodgers sounds like he's going to play, like you want to bet on that game right now if you're going to bet on that game. Even with Jordan Love in there, they could stick it to the Lions. Like, let's be real. The Lions do have a habit of capitulating at times. When they're not in a game, they do just capitulate a little bit. But if you keep them hanging around, then that's when they become dangerous. Yeah, and they've already had a rough season. It can go one or two ways. They're going to come out and try to win this game because it's the last game of the year, or they've already got it packed. They're already on vacation in their head. You know what I mean with the Lions? So if they're smart, they'll lose because for the draft pick. Yeah, but that's not what Dan Campbell's coming in and doing. Yeah, right. That's not in the players or Dan Campbell's mind, is it? That's right. In the front office mind. The front office is sat there like cheering if they win because it means they've put something together all right, but also cheering if they lose because it means they get some nice picks in the draft. All right, Maddie. We're going to win them all, make a bunch of money, and retire after this. So that's how good we're going to do this week. Probably the hardest week to pick games to in the whole NFL because people are sitting. But I really think the 49ers are going to get knocked out of the playoffs. I would enjoy that. I would like that, to be perfectly honest, if the 49ers didn't make it, because I wouldn't want to face them if I'm the Cowboys, to be honest. It's not the game that you want to be facing them. I'm also becoming a lot less confident in the Cowboys winning this week with the fact that everybody's out with COVID again. Yeah. Well, Maddie, you're on the COVID list right now too. So make sure you rest up and I hope you feel better. Thanks, man. Powering through. I've got the vaccine, so I'm fine. I'm all right. I'm just a little sore. But because I got the vaccine, the symptoms are a lot nicer to me because my body's been used to it before. It's almost like science fucking works. It's mad. But yeah, anyway, I understand why people don't want to get it because I've still caught it in the end. It's not. That's what I get for going out in nightclubs on New Year's Eve. It was my own fault, to be perfectly honest. Well,
you got to have a good time once in a while. So
damn right.
Rest up, feel better. And everybody, thanks for watching. One world, one love. Deuces.
Cheerio.